taking place live on the internet and will be recorded for further viewing. It will assist the conduct of the business if participants speak only when invited. Can I firstly ask everyone to mute their microphones and turn off their video feed? Thank you. Members of the public are welcome to view the proceedings, but should not make any contributions at this meeting. Please remember to unmute your microphone and switch on your video feed when it is your turn to speak. Speak clearly and slowly into your microphone. Members wishing to speak should indicate by using the raise your hand button on the Microsoft Teams. If you do not have that, please indicate using the chat facility. I will invite members to speak at the appropriate time. I ask for everyone's patience with the use of this technology. I apologise in advance if we experience any unforeseen difficulties, which we shall try to resolve as quickly as possible. Remembering today as the St Andrew's Day, we want to look at one of our patron saints, and at the same time, can I ask all members now to join me with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses against us, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Are there any apologies for absence? One, Councillor Cottrell. Members accept the apology? Declarations of interest. Any prior declarations of interest made under the Members' Code of Conduct have been published online. Interests previously disclosed at meetings are recorded in the minutes of the White Book, which is also published online. All of these interests will be taken as read. They are deemed as repeated at this council meeting. I now invite members to declare of any additional interests. Councillor Zarda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Agenda item 6. This is an interest that is obviously already declared, but in this particular scenario, it relates to agenda item 6, which is referenced as a partner in the report from the Health and Scrutiny Committee. So I shall not be contributing to that item at all.
Thank you, Councillor Zarda. Are there any other declarations of additional interest from members? None noted. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of October 2020 be confirmed as a correct record and signed. Does Council agree?
Aye.
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 That is carried.
Yes.
Agenda item 4, Mayor's announcements. Dudley Council has won the Coveted Chairs Award at the 2020 Royal Town Planning Institute West Midlands for planning excellence for its People's Panel project. Dudley was one of only 3 local authorities in the country to take part in this pilot project, which saw 50 randomly selected residents unite to form ideas on how to improve Dudley and Brierley Hill town centres. The council has also been recognised nationally for the way it is sharing news and information with people during the coronavirus pandemic. Dudley was the only council in the country to be shortlisted in the finals of the COVID Comms Awards. I would like to place on record the Council's congratulations to everyone involved in these significant achievements. This year we haven't been able to organise the Christmas events to mark the Small Business Saturday in the same way, but Communications and Public Affairs and Dudley Business First created an initiative ways to mark these occasions. The virtual borough-wide Christmas light switch on was programmed on the 21st of November, received nearly 15,000 views. The Small Business Saturday free pantomime tells the traditional story of Jack and the Beanstalk, which encouraging people to shop locally. Dudley Performing Arts are calling on the whole of the community to get involved with the online Christmas concert on the 20th of December. Unfortunately, I have not a time on the 20th of September which is taking place, but I'm sure that the time will be sent out to members. The concert will be streamed live on Facebook. People can take part in the carol sing-along and get involved with the finale at Slade's Merry Christmas to Everybody. People can send in a video of themselves singing this Christmas classic. Visit the council website for more details. I just wanted to mention the fantastic light up Dudley firework display earlier this month. We have never held an event which reached so many people and received so many compliments. I would like to thank everyone involved who made this event possible. Agenda item 5, reports and recommendations. Capital Programme monitoring. I call upon the leader.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of the Council, I move that the recommendations of the Cabinet be approved and adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Harley. I call upon the Deputy Leader to second the motion.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I seconded this motion.
I'll now open the debate for any questions. Could I call upon Councillor Bayton, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question for Councillor Kettle on page 12. If you could provide a written response, please, in relation to Dudley Interchange and the reason for Transport for West Midlands reporting a delay in the start of 6 to 9 months. Thank you.
Any further questions?
No. Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah. Yes, yes, that'd be all right, Councillor Kettle. Yes, you can speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'll be delighted to do that, and I'll get an answer back to Councillor Bayton straight away. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Councillor Kettle. Call upon Councillor Shaukat Ali. Councillor Ali.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is in relation to page 6, Lister Road redevelopment, and it's a plea really. The ward councillors, we had the plans shared with us last week, the revised plans. Although these plans were shared with us after the planning application had been submitted, it's important that we don't forget the safety issues on Lister Road. We have high volume and speeding traffic along there. We have quite a nasty junction on the corner of New Road, Adset Road and Lister Road. And now with the new car parking on the opposite side for the staff, it's really important that we do introduce some traffic calming measures so that the new staff who are going to be based there, the increased volume of traffic, people are kept to safety as well as the residents in that area. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Halley. Any further questions? No more? That's all the questions. Oh, sorry about that. Councillor Shakespeare, you indicated to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was just in response to Councillor Ali's comments. Obviously, we have. I'm pleased that you are happy with the new plans, and obviously that the new plans also are showing most of the activity at the back of the building. So visually, that will also be much nicer for the local residents. Certainly take your point on about possibly additional traffic, and that's something that we will be monitoring carefully once it's reopened. So that's definitely on our agenda. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Councillor Shakespeare. Is there any other speakers? There's no other speakers. I now call upon the leader to respond. If you'd like to make any comments that have been made, please. Councillor Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very brief, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Shakespeare's answered Councillor Ali. Reference Councillor Baton shall get a written answer from Councillor Kettle. But I will say, Mr. Mayor, as with the funding for VLR, where there was a shortage of funding, I'm confident that between working with ourselves and the West Midlands Mayor, Mr. Andy Street, we'll find that funding gap for the Dudley interchange and find it quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawley. Does Council agree?
Aye.
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 That is carried. Recommendations of the Appointments Committee. I call upon the leader, Councillor Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I move that the recommendations of the Appointments Committee be approved and adopted.
I call upon the Vice Chairman of the Appointments Committee, Councillor Zorda, to second the motion.
Seconded, Mr. Mayor. My apologies, technical errors.
That's quite all right, Councillor Zorda. We've all experienced them tonight. The ground is in the system. Thank you. Any debate? Anyone wishing to speak on the matter? Any indicating? There's no indications. It's customary for you to call on the leader to reply. Does the leader want to make any comments at this stage?
I don't think so, Mr. Mayor. No need to respond.
The council agree?
Aye.
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 That is carried. Agenda item 6. Council and partner responsible to the COVID-19 pandemic. Before the council considers this item, can we observe a minute's silence in memory of the people of this borough who have sadly passed away during this pandemic? We'll now take a minute's silence before I take the matter on the agenda. Thank you, members of the council. And may I just say, personally myself, may they all rest in peace and rise in glory. And at that remark, I'd now call upon the Vice Chair of the I now call upon the Chair of the Health and Adult Social Care Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Tyler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having rushed out of the house onto a Wi-Fi car park somewhere in Wallheath, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I move that the report of the Health and Adult Social Care Scrutiny Committee be received and endorsed.
Thank you, Councillor Tyler. I call upon the Vice Chair of the Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Chris Neal, to second the nomination.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I formally second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Neal. Now I'll open it up for any members who wish to speak on this motion. Councillor Baton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, members can see the huge amount of work that has gone into the report and the raft of recommendations that have come out of it at both the regional, local and national level. I think I fully expect that the report will go through and that will be accepted. But I think it's just to flag up at this early stage, Mr. Mayor, the need for the council to adopt and understand and see the council's recovery plan. So as part of the recommendations, we asked for the facts and figures and the data that is sitting from skills and businesses. That came through this morning, so we haven't really had much time to look at that. But I think we do need to see the council's recovery plan, and that will probably need to go through the scrutiny process as well, so that we can understand the data that sits there now and how the recovery plan is actually going to mitigate or go some way to mitigating against the data that we're seeing coming through. So really, Mr. Mayor, while it's wishing to thank everybody for their contributions, their involvement in the plan, it's to say that actually this is a really early piece of work and that the hard work is still to come. So just to flag that up and say that we do need to start to understand the recovery plan for the borough.
Thank you for that contribution, Councillor Baton. I now call upon Councillor Barlow. Councillor Barlow.
Apologies, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, apologies. I've got a bit of a lag on my system as well. Really, I just want to, at this particular point, offer my thanks to everybody that participated in this absolute mammoth scrutiny committee. The work that officers put in has been incredible. Huge amount of hours that have been put in to pull this together. So I think, you know, we should all offer our thanks for that, and for the chairmanship and vice chairmanship of Councillors Tyler and Neal as well, to make sure that everything ran smoothly as possible. I think Councillor Baton is absolutely right. We need to start looking at the recovery plan once we're in a position to be able to do that. I think we're, you know, still a long way to go. But certainly when the time is right, we can start to review that and work on that through the normal scrutiny and cabinet processes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barlow. Call upon Councillor Harley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to echo comments of colleagues who've already spoken, this is a good example of effective scrutiny. And I, congratulate the Chair, Councillor Tyler, and the Vice Chair, Councillor Neal, on the way they've steered this through, what must have been some quite mammoth 3-hour sessions. But it's an excellent piece of scrutiny. The timing is absolutely perfect while we're still in the midst of the pandemic. And a good piece of scrutiny work that shows how all the council directorates and the partner organisations and others have all tried to work together, and a good piece of cross-party collaboration. And let's hope that there's more examples of good scrutiny like this in the years to come.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harley. I'll call upon Councillor Millward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. it's just, yeah, I echo with what all colleagues have been saying, and it really is a wonderful piece of scrutiny work, and hopefully it will get national recognition. Well, what I was just going to ask, Councillor Baton mentioned that she'd received facts and figures this morning. I've checked, I've had no emails, and I'm wondering if that information can be cascaded to all members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millward. Councillor Burston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to thank you for your the tribute that you paid to those people who have passed away from COVID. Yes, very unfortunate. Thankfully, of this virus, for most of it, it hasn't been a particular issue. But yes, for a small minority of people, it's been horrific, and in some cases, of course, it's proved tragically terminal. However, there have been 20,000 excess deaths this country this year that cannot be directly attributed to COVID. And therefore, I think it's only right that we remember those too, many of whom will, of course, be people who passed away because the hospital treatments were deferred or cancelled, or because their operations were cancelled. Some of them because of suicide, because sadly the effects it's had on their mental health and their livelihoods has meant that they didn't feel that they could see the year out, which is very tragic. So yes, so thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. But also let's remember those other people too, because they are just as much victims of what has happened over the last 9 months as the people who have passed away in hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burston. And yes, I do take on board your comments there, and my sympathies go out to all exactly the same. Any further speakers? No further speakers. That remains for me to call on Councillor Dave Tyler to reply, please. Councillor Tyler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And whilst it's nice to receive plaudits from colleagues, we all know that we don't do this for plaudits. We do it because it's the right thing to do, and actually it was at the right time to do it. One major thing that's come out of this is that all of our was brought into the project. That was a really good piece of cross-party and cross-organisational work for everybody. I hope that what we've done in the last 7 or 8 months will go some way to helping not only our council and our residents, but also people throughout the UK. If they see that we've done a scrutiny, and if they want to tap into what we've done and build on it and work on it and improve on it, bear in mind this is just a snapshot in time for scrutiny. Scrutiny will have to continue from this point onwards, because as Councillor Baton and others have quite rightly said, when the COVID epidemic, when the pandemic starts to fade away, we need to work on a plan. We have already started to, and we'll need to continue working on plans to come out, and the recovery period is in a way going to be the most crucial, because it'll be like starting a race off our knees. And all the businesses that have suffered so much over the last few months, they'll need a big helping hand along the way. And there's no one else to do it but us, the council. So I'd make a plea to every single solitary member of this council to do all we can, and I know we will, to do all we can to help the families and the businesses that have been through this ordeal with us. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. The plaudits are not mine, they're not Councillor Neil's, they're on behalf of the whole team and all of our partners as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Tyler, for that very complimentary reply. You did break up slightly at the start, but I think most of the members, including myself, got the general text of your comments there. But I would also like to thank you, the Vice Chairman, and the whole of the committee, and anyone else that's participated within this situation of putting this report together, which is an excellent one. Just personally thank you as well. Thank you. I'll now move over to agenda item 7, which is notice of motion. Following consultation with the group leaders, it has been agreed that all the notices of motion previously submitted are deferred for future consideration. I take it the council agreed to that. It's agreed with the group leaders. I'll now move over to agenda item 8. This is questions from members under Council Procedure Rule 11. The purpose of this session is for members to ask questions. There will be a 1 hour limit on the question time session. The time limit will be on individual contributions during this session will be 2 minutes. So can I just ask members please to just stick to the 2 minutes with the questions. All questions will be dealt with individually, one at a time. If time permits, members may indicate to ask a further question during the session. When I call on members to ask a supplementary question, this must relate to the original question or the answer given. Councillor Cowell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I yet again ask the lead member for Housing and Communities and crucially residents' welfare what action is being taken to ensure the safety of those at risk from COVID-19 when contractors are visiting council properties? The fire door contractors in particular are simply not following any procedure whatsoever. As previously requested, can a meeting be set up to include all relevant senior officers to discuss the matter? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cowell. Would Councillor Tyler like to respond? Taylor, sorry, Councillor Taylor. I do apologise. What it was, my phone went off and I normally keep it turned off, so I'm a bit embarrassed by it, so I'm sorry. Councillor Laura Taylor, please.
Mr. Mayor.
£5 fine.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Taylor is recovering from a serious operation and I will be covering for her. Can I
carry on, Councillor Vickers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I assure Councillor Cowell that we are taking steps to make certain this is happening? I personally have spoken to the Director of Housing, Taylor, about this and our concerns, and I will ensure that this meeting is held and Councillor Cowell will know the result of that meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Vickers. Any other? No other questions? Councillor Crompton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a question for the leader, please. There's a current planning application in place in our ward in Fraudra Street, just at the back of Windmill Hill. The application is being put in by the council for quite a dense housing development. What I would like the leader of the council to do is to use his offices to, I suppose, help us out. Not just us, but our residents. And I also noticed that Councillor Phipps has made an objection against this planning application. It's a very dense housing project in a very difficult area. And what I would like us to do actually is to, since it's dealing with ourselves, simply withdraw the planning application as it stands, then sit down with the interested parties, including the ward councillors, to come up with some better development there. There is room for a development. Nobody disagrees with that. And the land, part of the land around there is really in quite a bad state. But we've got some good green space. We've got the saga of Fraudra Street, which has been horrendous for the residents along there, along that part of that road, which is unadopted for many, many years. And this is just causing an enormous amount of stress and strain on local residents. So I would ask that Councillor Harley, the leader, to intervene, pull the planning application for the moment and get some consultation going on. There has been no consultation locally on this, and I think it's well worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I call on Councillor Harley to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Crompton. If you send me the details or give me a bell in the next few days, then we'll have a chat. But always happy to help out fellow colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Harley. You're happy with that? Okay. Councillor Shaukat Ali.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is to Councillor Ian Kettle. Back in the council meeting in July, I asked Councillor Kettle a question regarding the demolition of Cavendish House and whether he would share the conditions attached to the West Midlands Combined Authority grant because the developers had turned down the LEP grant, which tied them down to redeveloping the site within 5 years. He promised to provide me with a written response, which to date I still have not received, despite sending him a courtesy email in which he was copied on the 17th of November, 17th of August. Can he give me the answer today, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Councillor Halley. Councillor Kettle, would you like to respond?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll get a letter to Councillor Ali. I did go into this issue. I thought it was settled. In all fairness, I'll get a written response to him as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kettle.
Yeah,
Councillor,
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, in terms of the...
This is supplementary, same question.
It is supplementary.
Thank you.
I mean, his assurance, he assured me at that meeting and it never arrived. The response never arrived. And I hope his assurance today that I will get a response.
Mr. Mayor, if I recall correctly, we were not involved in this issue. The contractors to bring down Cavendish House and the origins of the grant to do so were not a council responsibility and a council issue. It was between the contractor and the owner, not us. So I will get a letter back to him. I'm trying to work from memory from about 4 or 5 months ago, and I'll do my best. It will be done, Councillor Ali. There isn't a problem. I thought the matter was sorted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kettle. Councillor Ali, are you happy with that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I await the response.
Thank you, Councillor Ali. Councillor Lowe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a question for Councillor Steve Clark in his role as lead member for finance. The last time we spoke at full council, Councillor Clark agreed with me that council workers were worthy of a pay increase this year. My simple question to Councillor Clark is, does he still hold that view?
Councillor Clark.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I do think that they are worthy of a increase, Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Lowe, a supplementary.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And thank you very much, Steve, for sharing your view that the council staff are still worthy of a pay increase. Could I then further request that, as outlined in a number of emails dated for the 29th of October, 5th of March, and most recently the 19th of November, that you join with me as a cross-party basis in sending a letter to relevant government agencies that on a cross-party basis, we in Dudley believe that our council workers deserve a fair deal and that therefore we will campaign with the government for all council staff workers to receive a fair pay rise. And I say that, Mr. Mayor, not least because of the item we've been discussing as part of scrutiny tonight around COVID-19. Our council workers have gone over and above in keeping our community safe, and it's nothing short of disgraceful that the government should respond to the work that they've undertaken in the manner that they have. So the question to Steve is, can we look towards drafting a joint letter to send to the relevant government agencies? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. Councillor Clark to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've got a budget summit the end of this week, where those will be discussed. I don't see any reason why we can't try and do something together. Obviously, we shall let you know on that, Councillor Lowe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Can I ask Councillor Ali, you're indicating to speak. Oh, is it another question, Councillor Ali?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is another question, if I can ask.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is to Councillor Nicholas Barlow. First of all, can I also remind him that similarly at that July meeting, I asked him 2 questions which he promised to send a written response. Now, I haven't received a response to both of those questions. And in terms of my question today, a number of months ago, Boris Johnson announced an army of COVID marshals. Obviously, to date in Dudley, we've seen no signs of COVID marshals. Can he confirm how many COVID marshals he's looking to take on and when? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ali. Councillor Barlow to respond.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Ali, I do apologise for not getting that information to you. I do have it to hand. I will get that to you straight away. With regards to the COVID marshals, we have been in discussions about how we're going to proceed with those and what form they will take. My preference is that the marshals, or whatever you want to call them, should be there to support businesses and to support the work of our environmental health officers and trading standards team. So we are working with that. I'll make sure that a suitable response is submitted to you as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. You're happy with the response, Councillor Ali?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I look forward to receiving the responses. But in terms of the follow-up, can the cabinet member confirm to me how much funding he has received for the COVID marshals?
Would you like to respond to that, Councillor Barlow? Yeah, Councillor Barlow.
Sorry, yes, sorry, I'm muting myself again. Yes, Councillor Ali, I'll make sure that we get that funding information to you as well.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Councillor Ali, your postman is going to be rather busy. Councillor Baton.
Once they deliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is to Councillor Buttery. Over the weekend, I've heard that there are some primary schools who delivered summer schools as part of their plan to help disadvantaged and young people who were at risk of falling behind, and who also gave out the free school meals vouchers over the summer period. But I'm hearing that there are a number of schools that have not been reimbursed for this, so causing terrific pressures upon their school budgets, despite government committing to reimburse for school meals vouchers, and despite government actually promoting and wanting the summer schools to take place, and quite rightly so. Can the cabinet member provide in writing, please, by school, who has received free school meals funding for the summer period, and who has received summer school funding also for the summer period, please? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Baton. Councillor Buttery, please.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Baton, can I just clarify your question, please? So you want to know we're talking about the summer period here. I assume the summer period when the children in the summer holidays, when children weren't in school.
That's right. So those.
So it's in the summer period for the summer holidays. Sorry, that's my dog in the background. So it's the summer holidays, and you want to know who or which schools had free school meal. Well, all schools could have free school meal.
No, I want to know.
What you want to know is who hasn't been reimbursed.
I want to know who has been reimbursed and who hasn't been reimbursed for the free school meals vouchers. And
I can get that to you, but that will be a huge amount of work because we've got 103 schools.
It's predominantly primaries, please, Councillor Buttery.
Well, if you do it for one, you've got to do it for all. I mean, that's a vast amount of work for the officers to do. I think it's important. I can get something to you, but I can't necessarily promise we can have a breakdown of every single school and their costing, because at the end of the day, schools have their costings individually, and then they come to us for the COVID outcomes. I'll see what I can do, Councillor Baton, but I don't think that's actually a realistic request, but I'll have a look and ask the officers what we can do. Okay, thank you.
Can I just have one at a time? Just a moment. Do you wish to speak again, Councillor Baton?
Please, yeah.
Yes, Councillor Baton.
I don't necessarily want to know how much they've been paid. I just want to know if they have been reimbursed. So I'll await the response from the Cabinet member. Thank you.
You're happy with that, are you, Councillor Baton?
Well, I'll wait and see what the responses I get first, Mr. Mayor, before I'll let you know whether I'm happy or not.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much indeed.
So, Mr. Mayor, could I just clarify a point, please? Is Councillor Baton particularly questioning a school within her borough, within her ward? Is there a particular school, or is it all primary schools? Because obviously we did free school meals in the summer for all our primary, secondary and special schools, and we supported academies as well as LA schools or voluntary aided schools. So I think, like I say, given the amount of data she's actually asking for, is it a particular, if it's a particular school within a ward, if she wants to email me privately, and obviously I will get whatever data I can, but it's just such a huge generic question that actually be a massive amount of work for officers at the moment who are already incredibly stretched. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Buttery. Councillor Baton.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to correspond privately on it. It's not a question in relation to a specific school. It is in relation to schools to make sure that they have been adequately reimbursed for the free school meals vouchers across the board. So I will take that up separately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baton. I'm sure between both of you can sort the matter out. Any further questions, Mr. Chief? There is no further questions, so that. Oh, sorry, Councillor Ridney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to ask Councillor Buttery if she'd like to join with me in reminding our colleagues across the council about the care leavers wish list. As corporate parents, we are being asked to provide gifts for our care leavers over this Christmas period, and just to, if she'd like to join me in reminding our colleagues about it. I have spoken to Helen. Originally it was just the Amazon list, but we would encourage you, if you wish to buy from local shops, as long as it is delivered to the council house, that will be fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ridney. Councillor Buttery, did you want to make any comments on those?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, thank you, Councillor Ridney, for bringing up this amazing Christmas Wish initiative that our staff who look after our care leavers have brought about. We've got 463 children in that category who are between the ages of 16 and 24. And as we all know, as councillors and council employees, we are all corporate parents. To date, there have been 488 presents bought, and you can have a mixture. Everything there's on that list, there's everything from a £1 bar of chocolate to £30 hair straighteners and everything in between that young people would like. I think this is a really, really amazing initiative by our staff who have thought outside the box, you know, in the midst of a pandemic, to make sure that our most vulnerable children have presents to open on Christmas Day. And we're looking at how we're going to support them on Christmas Day itself to make sure that they're not lonely or isolated. So I would encourage every single councillor to go on that list and to buy presents. It has been done, obviously, in the midst of a pandemic and done quite quickly, and that is to be credited. I think obviously it is good if we can support local businesses, and I know obviously we've got the virtual market as well, which has been really good, and perhaps in future years we can coordinate this with the Mayor's Business Club and coordinate to perhaps have more local. But I think this year we have it as it is, and it is incredibly supportive, and it's been really encouraging for staff. Actually, the officer who organised it sent me a couple of photos today, which I can share with the council, of their staff room just full of presents for our young people. So if you haven't already bought anything, go on the email and choose something for that young person and make them smile on Christmas Day. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Buttery, and also you, Councillor Ridley, for bringing this to the members' attention, and I wish it every success. I'll call upon the Chief Executive to ask if there's any further questions.
There are no further indications.
There are no further questions, so that completes the question time agenda item. Agenda item 9, urgent business. There is no urgent business, so that concludes this meeting of the Council. Can I take this opportunity to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a safe and healthy and peaceful and prosperous New Year to each and every one of you. Have a good time as best you possibly can. With the difficult.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Best wishes, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being the borough's first citizen during this difficult year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and happy
And the
Christmas
Deputy Mayor.
to all the colleagues.
And the Deputy Mayor.
And the Deputy Mayor.
I'm the Deputy Mayor.
My colleague.
Merry Christmas.
God bless everyone.
Yes, thank you all very much indeed.
Okay.
And a
Thank
better
you.
2021.
God bless.
Everybody.
Right.
God bless
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Right.
Be safe.
Are you all right?
Bye.
God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.